A baby is staring at you, not glancing, not looking around the room, locked onto your face with the kind of focused, unblinking intensity that most adults reserve for things that genuinely matter. You wave. They don't react. You make a face. Nothing. Just that stare, steady and absolute, like they are reading something in you that you cannot read yourself. Most people laugh it off, make a silly noise, look away first. But developmental neuroscientists have spent years trying to understand exactly what is happening inside that tiny brain during those long, unblinking moments. And what they found does not just change how you see babies, it changes how you understand what a brain actually is. Here is the theory most people assume is correct. Babies stare because their vision is limited, and your face is simply the most interesting object within range. Newborns can only focus clearly at about 8 to 12 inches, roughly the distance from your arms to your face when you are holding them. So the stare is just proximity, just convenience. That theory sounds reasonable. It is also incomplete, because by 3 months old, a baby has enough visual range to look at almost anything in the room. The ceiling, the window, the light fixture, the dog, the pile of laundry. All of it is technically available, and they still keep choosing your face every time. That is not poor vision making a decision. That is a preference. And when researchers started asking why, what they found in the data was something no one had predicted. In 2017, a team at the University of Cambridge published a study measuring neural activity in both babies and adults during face-to-face interaction. They used a technique called functional near-infrared spectroscopy, which tracks blood flow changes in the brain in real time. What they were looking for was whether two brains, an adult and an infant, showed any coordination during mutual gaze. What they found stopped the research community cold. When a baby locks eyes with you, their brain waves begin to synchronize with yours. Not metaphorically, not loosely, measurably, precisely, at the same frequencies and rhythms. Two separate brains firing in coordination simultaneously. The researchers tested it carefully. Adult looks away from the baby. Synchronization drops. Adult holds a neutral expression without engagement. Partial synchronization. But mutual gaze, both looking directly at each other, produced the strongest neural coupling between two individuals of different ages that the team had ever recorded. Your baby is not just looking at you. They are locking their developing brain onto yours, using your neural activity as a kind of scaffold, a living template for building their own. That stare is how one human brain teaches another human brain what it means to be human. But here is where it gets more complex. Because babies do not stare at everyone equally. Researchers at Harvard Medical School showed 3-month-old infants two faces side by side, a stranger's face and their primary caregiver's face. The infants consistently looked longer at the stranger, which seems backwards, until you understand why. Cognitive scientists call it the violation of expectation response. Babies direct their attention toward things they have not yet fully processed. The stranger is new, unresolved, still being mapped, but the caregiver's face, by 3 months, has already been studied for thousands of hours. Every expression, every micro-movement, every shift in mood. When a baby looks at you, their person, they are not confused by you. They are reading you. Researchers at the University of Washington found that by 5 months, babies can distinguish between a genuine smile and a performed one. By 6 months, they track your emotional state and use it as a guide for how to respond to the world. You look worried, they freeze. You look curious, they reach. You look calm, they explore. This is called social referencing, and it means that your face is not just something your baby looks at. It is the primary instrument they are using to understand whether the world is safe. Every expression you make is data. Every shift in your eyes is information. That long, unblinking stare is your baby running a continuous real-time analysis of the most important person in their world. You are not just their caregiver. You are their nervous system's external interface. Now there is an experiment that every parent needs to know about. It was designed in 1975 by Dr. Edward Tronick at Harvard, and researchers are still studying its implications today. It is called the still face paradigm. The setup is simple. A mother interacts normally with her baby, smiling, talking, responding, the usual back and forth. The baby is engaged, alive with attention, staring up at her face. Then, on cue, the mother goes completely still, face blank, eyes open, no expression, no response, physically present, but emotionally absent. What happens next has been filmed hundreds of times across cultures, across countries, across decades of research, and it is always the same. The baby notices immediately. They try to bring her back. A big smile. The one that always works. Nothing. Pointing, vocalizing, reaching. All the tools that have always produced a response. Still nothing. Within 90 seconds, most babies show measurable physiological stress. Cortisol rises, heart rate increases. Some begin to cry. Others do something that researchers find even more striking. They go flat, withdrawn. They stop trying and turn inward, in a kind of quiet shutdown that mirrors the mother's blankness. When the mother re-engages, recovery is rapid, but it is not instant. The disruption leaves a trace. What Dr. Tronick concluded after decades of studying this sequence was something that permanently changed how developmental psychologists understand infancy. Babies are not passive recipients of care. They are active participants in a constant emotional conversation. And that conversation happens almost entirely through the face. The stare is not admiration. It is not curiosity in the general sense. It is communication at its most fundamental level. Your baby is talking to you with their eyes, and they need you to talk back. There is one more layer to this, one that almost never makes it outside academic journals. Researchers at MIT's Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences spent years studying what actually happens inside an infant brain during face-to-face interaction. Not just what the baby sees, but what gets built. What they found is this. Babies who receive more contingent interaction in the first 6 months, meaning interactions where their signals are noticed and responded to, show measurably greater development in the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, emotional regulation, decision-making, and complex social behavior. The architecture of everything we consider adult intelligence. Holding a baby's gaze, mirroring their expression, responding to what you see in their eyes. You are not just connecting. You are doing construction work on a brain. Every time you hold their stare and stare back, you are adding something that no toy, no screen, no educational program can replicate. The specific, contingent, face-to-face responsiveness of a person who sees them. Now I want to say something about what to watch for, because most of what we have covered today is about what a stare means when it is present, but researchers are equally clear about what it means when the stare is absent. A baby who consistently avoids eye contact, who does not track your face, who looks through you rather than at you, who does not seem to respond to mutual gaze the way other babies do, that is not simply a different style. Reduced or atypical gaze behavior in infancy is one of the earliest observable signals that researchers associate with differences in social brain development. It does not mean something is wrong. Every baby develops on their own timeline, but the brain's capacity for change is never higher than it is in the first 2 years of life. The difference between identifying something at 6 months versus 18 months is not a small difference. It is the difference between two entirely different windows of possibility. So if something about your baby's gaze feels off to you, do not wait to mention it. You are the most finely calibrated instrument on earth for reading your own child's face. That instinct matters. So the next time a baby locks eyes with you across the room and just holds that stare, remember what you are actually watching. A brain reaching out for yours, using your face to learn how to feel, how to read safety, how to understand what it means to be in a world full of other people. Those wide, unblinking eyes are not blank. They are working. And when they find yours, the only right response is to meet them. Subscribe to Baby Mind Secrets for weekly videos on the hidden science of what your baby is doing, feeling, and building in every ordinary moment. And tell us in the comments, has a baby ever stared at you so intensely it stopped you cold? What did it feel like before you knew what was actually happening?